But with that said, even with the COVID thing running its course and whatever it does, and assuming it doesn't come roaring back and everything shut down, we just don't know. But even if it did, if it did,
right,
I'm trying to adjust to a new way, and a way that combines the old, if you will, I don't like the words normal, but the old normal with the new normal into what a mutual friend of ours, Eric Bam, has coined as the now normal. And I like that term, because it's now is today, whatever it is. So that's what I've really been doing since we chatted last is I've been on the road more. Only one flight since March, though. Went excellent, no issues, no concerns, no fears. Everything was great. But more road trips, some overnights. Hotels are a little different. The biggest thing I lose my mind with is when you go downstairs in the morning after you throw on some pants and fix your hair quick, and the stupid coffee. They don't serve coffee because they're afraid there might be too many people around the coffee.
Really?
It's
really?
Like
really? That's interesting.
And then they don't have one in your room either. And it's like, you're killing me. You're killing me. It's like, could I pay like $20 more and have coffee, please? But so I've been doing more traveling, day trips, 2 or 3 night trips, everywhere I could drive right now. I'm going to have a couple trips coming up probably in the next month, barring any weird issues. I do have a trade show coming up in December, one that hasn't got canceled or changed, which is kind of fun.
Which one is that now, Gary?
This is the
Randy, rather. I'm sorry.
Okay. This is the
apologize.
If there's money in it, if there's money in it, I'll be Gary. I mean, I'm
okay. Well, there was for me, and that's probably why I'm calling you.
That's probably why there is. It's in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the Duke Center, and it's in December, and it's the Construction Roll Former Show. And as we had talked, I'm in the metal roofing industry, in other post frame buildings and that thing, but metal roofing is like the target of what I do, right? And this is a show that the actual manufacturers come in for, and so every customer there is a target customer, every single one, and that's a beautiful thing. So I mean, it's going to be masks on and some stuff I don't like, but I'm so looking forward to getting back and seeing some folks and doing the trade show thing, and may even have dinner with a mutual friend of ours, another mutual friend, Mark, Brian Monahan.
Oh, I was going to ask. Yeah, you're going to be up that way, so that's cool.
He lives down there, and we have a couple spots that we kind of both know and like, and so we might meet up for a Cabernet. You never know.
Right. But and since you mentioned Brian, I mean, I have the utmost respect for him at what he does. I think we got a hello here. Oh, there's thank you, Tom. Good evening. All right.
Hey, Tom.
Tom again. Thanks, Tom. And I really appreciate what Brian's doing. He's written the book 365, right? Customer Delight. Now he's taken it to the nth degree and getting others involved. I think he's extended an arm to you, to me, to other people to, write a few things, quotes, whatever. Look at that.
That's how many pages I've gotten.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. He said that the shark is, upon it. He definitely told me that. But Brian's really a unique individual. He's to me, he's analytical. He has emotion, but he just is constantly, it's like the wheels are turning up there, man, to the next project and the next project. And I really love his book, and I can't wait for this opportunity. He teased me the other day because I threw something in Customer Delight, and his quote I mentioned about Pete Rose, and he goes, "Man, Charlie Hustle, are you kidding me? Are you teasing me, Mark?" But we kind of bantered back and forth.
Oh yeah, he's a good man. And this book he's writing, it's awesome that he's giving some of us others an opportunity to write some pages in the book. I'm massively excited about that.
Right.
So,
you must be if you've written 4, dude. You're doing better than I am. So
he promised he'd do some editing because my grammar spelling might not be perfect, but
Okay. Well, you mentioned about going into the trade show mode. So I'm just curious. So when you do that, how many exhibitors and attendees will be at this event? Do you know, Randy?
This one's the smallest one that I would do. Just because it's very targeted. But the good news is I'd rather have a smaller number of targeted customers than tens of thousands of people when maybe hundreds are actual potential customers, right? Because you got to weed through them. And this one, I don't know. This one might have a couple 3,000 attendees, maybe is all. So it's not that.
Good evening, JR.
Hey, there's JR.
JR saying hello. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
But yeah, it's not that big compared to some that are 40 and 50,000 people, you know, this size shows. But and it does make it easier to work the show because I enjoy myself at a trade show. I'm not saying I don't enjoy myself, but it's work first and it's work always. You know, it's kind of like you got to put the uniform on, right? At a trade show, I kind of liken it to, I don't know, weird. I think weird about stuff, but it's like you're walking down the trade show floor, right? You might have had breakfast with a customer. You might have done whatever else you did. But I think about like back in the day of somebody you and I would remember, the younger folks may or may not, but Johnny Carson, right? And if you were a guest, you'd be back in the green room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they come get you about 30 seconds before the show, and you walk with the 2x4 walls and the cables and the producer with their headset.
Right.
And you start hearing applause from the crowd, right? But you know, you might be joking and stop and sign an autograph for somebody if you're one of them stars. But what happens when you turn the corner and there's Johnny? Instantly, you got to be on the game, right?
Yep.
And that's the way I pump myself up and be envisioned at trade shows. You know, you might have had a couple too many Cabernets the night before. You might have just been out a little longer, hanging with customers and hanging with the buds. But you know, showtime is showtime, buddy. And you just got to be there. And it's fun. It gets you juiced up.
So obviously, Randy, and you brought up a great point because I was in that industry,
right?
And I watched people like yourself that had a game plan. I've seen people 6 months out targeting, calling, emailing, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, using social media platforms, giving the booth number. So when that day arrives, they have people, clientele coming in to visit with them, and they're not just out there playing games. And what's your type of plan or strategy when you do a trade show to be effective? How do you go about it in your industry?
Well, you know, you hit on a couple things there, and that's one of the beauties with social media now. Hey, Zachary, he made a big. He's a real estate guy. He made a big deal yesterday or today. Well done, brother. But anyway, you know, it's with social media, it's so fun because, like you said, this is December 9th, 10th, 11th, whatever. By the way, just a few days after I become, are you ready for this? I know you're going to go amazed. A great grandpa.
Oh my.
I've always been a great grandpa, but now I'm going to be that's a noun, my granddaughter says, not a verb. I'm going to be by noun a great grandpa. But anyway, I digress. But so starting probably in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I will start it's on my website already under coming events. I will start mentioning it in posts. I'll start showing the city of Cincinnati, just little stuff, just teasers, right? Mm-hmm. And as we get closer, I'll be telling people where I'm at, booth number, remind them how to get a hold of me. And now with doing more of this new, if you will, stuff that I do, I'll probably do a live or 2 or 3 from the show. I'll do a live when I get there.
I was going to ask you that. Now you probably will, right?
Yeah, I'll be well, exactly. So I'll be flying in somewhere. I just haven't decided, depending on my trip, but because I'll be back home in Florida by then, so I'll be flying into either Columbus, Cincinnati, or Detroit. But either way, I'll be driving in to downtown, and I guarantee I'll probably do something. You know, I'll turn my camera around, coming across the bridge if I come from the south side, but the city. Hey, everybody, we're here. Get here. Come see me, booth 657, you know, whatever, and just get people cranked up because you're right. You need to work the show if you're going to be there.
Right.
I don't want to do what I'm doing right now, which is sit on a stool, and you see a lot of people do it. Hey, how you doing? You want a pen? I mean, stay home, right? I mean, what are you doing?
There you go. And I've seen guys have 10 by 10 booths versus a 50 by 50 mega blaster booth, double decker.
Right.
And that guy has a game plan, and he's out there knocking it out of the park
Absolutely.
and he's got people coming to visit him,
Yeah.
because he knows his product or service.
Exactly.
It brings value. And it was funny. I can't remember the show, but when I was out there helping produce him, I was like, what is this guy doing? What's he doing?
Yeah. Well, the other thing you can do, just for guys that maybe anybody listening or does listen that,
Do you know Liz here?
I do. She works for me. She is my social media marketing guru person. She's full-time on my staff.
Hey, Liz.
She's looking for a raise by doing that. I can see it now.
All right.
Unbelievable.
Liz, I'm going to tell him right now, he needs to pay you some extra dough. So hopefully that'll get you over the hump.
She does some great stuff for me. She's working on my YouTube channel right now. She's working on a lot of stuff.
That's great, Randy.
She's gonna be doing some customer service stuff for me too, very shortly. Also, so
and that's my next point with people when they say I sold or I did this. I'm really leery of that, because if you're working for a company, even if it's you, it's a team effort. Yeah, you might get the credit, but I've been around some guys that and you've got people like Liz there and others. I was very adamant about, here's the person that designed your show, Randy Chafee. Here's your main production guy that made sure all the labor was intact, and we didn't have to worry about issues from a labor perspective. Here's my general manager to make sure everything worked throughout the city. And it was amazing to watch their reaction. They'd be like looking at me like, what's this guy doing, man?
Yeah, it's important. It's important.
I even brought in security people at my meetings and said, here, sit down, have a cup of coffee. Here's the head of security and his team that made sure, there was no theft on the floor,
Right.
All those little things that you don't think about. And, I call it I-itis, or the disease of me. You get some people
like it. Yep. Well, yeah, it's because you can't. And I'm blessed with Dixie. She runs my wife. She runs my office.
Right.
So she does all the backroom stuff. So, and does an amazing job with that. And then with everything that Liz does, and then I have a samples girl, Pam. And so I can just do only what I do, only what I'm good at, and only what I want to do. Probably more as I get older, what I want to do, but hopefully what I'm good at, which is engage people and not do these other things. So, the beautiful thing, like with Liz, for example, is, and that's how important, or I should say the amount of importance I put on social media, virtual, whatever we want to call it, is I'm going to bring you into some other customer service things, but that's a full-time job for her.
That's great,
because that's how important it is to me.
Right.
I'm all in.
And you know what? You brought up a great point, and I'm just going to digress just a tad. Some of the clientele I call are manufacturers reps or they're manufacturers themselves, and they have told me, I miss being on the trade show floor. Because this one guy flat out told me, Mark, I went to a virtual event. It was a bunch of crap. I need real leads, real engagement. Yes, I can do it virtually. I can have a virtual call with somebody, whether it's Zoom or Teams or whatever, but there's nothing like being on that floor and having the ability to engage and let people see your product or service in the flesh. And I'm not knocking what we do, which is going to lead me to my next point with you, because I know we touched on this briefly. They're tools. Hippo Video, and JR had a great point, and I don't know, I'm going to share this. He talked about his trade show days, and they're exhausting. And man, I know how long I did work, man. I would leave at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. and come home at 2 in the morning. That was just one day. It's insane, but it's a day where you just get high on stress. But he talks about like Hippo Video. He said back men to engage people. Now we have options with, and that's exactly the point, JR. It's a great point. They are options. It's not the do all end all. And that's what scares me with some, not all people, some, that they just think they can send out Hippo Video or texting or their website, and boom, they're going to knock it out of the park. And I said this morning. I'm going to hold. Sooner or later, you got to pick this bad boy up and use it. I mean,
exactly. Well, and you hit on something, and JR's right too. They are exhausting. They're fun, but here's the thing. There's a middle
That's a great point, Tom. Yeah, I've seen too many of them. He says it blows my mind. Yeah. Oh my God. They sit there and you want to know why they're not having anybody engage with them or anything.
Well, it's pretty easy. I call it the Hershey kiss in the pen. There's a Hershey kiss and a pen in the jar right there. Because God forbid they'd actually get up and shake hands or in today's belly button.
Here, you want a pen?
Yeah, exactly. But my take is yes, we're going to have to still do some personal stuff.
Sure.
But we're also going to have to augment that with the new virtual stuff.
Sure.
Right. And the key, I think, in this industry by industry, but the key is going to be, and that's what I'm really still trying to figure out, to be honest, is where is that fine line, right? I'm trying to still find that. And I probably won't know that I might not know that for a year, because I'm going to have to go through coming out of COVID, if you will, and see how all that plays. If things stay opened up, obviously I'm going to travel more.
Sure.
But will I go back to traveling as much as I did in my pounding days? Probably not. Right. Because I found out that I can augment all that with these sort of things, with videos. I mean, I went to get lunch today, and while I was waiting to get lunch, I did, on the way there, 12 miles. While I waited and had a drink while I waited for lunch to pick up for me and the Dixie chick. And my 12 miles back, I probably did 10 videos, 10 quick texts on the phone, text videos, just reaching out, following up. Sometimes it's no more than a simple, hey, brother, what's up? Just thinking about you. Appreciate you. Love you, man. Yeah, whatever.
Did you do that from your iPhone, Randy? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And I'm not knocking that. That's being strategic and intelligent about your craft. I respect that. But there are some that, want to just hide behind, the computer and just send out messages and even, video email and, waiting for the phone to ring, and it don't work that way. And that's the point I want to make in today's world. You still got to engage with people and talk to them and initiate conversations.
Engagement is the biggest thing. That's something I talk about a lot, and you're right. And I think to pull this two together, even if you're doing virtual and a fair amount of virtual, and let's say we hit a point where we get locked down for 2 months again. I don't know, hope not, but whatever.
Right.
Virtual should still be the same rules as if you're there physically. You're just not there physically, but you still got to reach out. You got to talk to them. You got to tell them you care about them. You got to be there for them. And you, like you said, you can't hide behind simply sending an email and call it a day. You've got to, if you send an email, you send a video email, you send a video text, you do Zoom meetings. Like you said, you still got to pick that phone up and call the guy. Right. And
well, like that transaction we did, we sold it and presented it on a virtual level, like you and I are talking here. I call this the Jetson version of how to communicate with people. I'm dating myself. I digress too. If you don't know who the Jetsons are, go Google it.
Mark, important question. Jane or Judy?
Oh boy, here we go. Now you're going to put me on the spot. I don't recall. I'll say Gina. How's that? That's my wife.
Okay.
Anyway, but to close it, I had to pick up the phone and make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's my point. We didn't do it right then and there.
Yep. If you find a way to engage every day with a customer and use all the tools you have, I think we have more opportunities to win than ever.
Yes.
Because I find the one thing that I really enjoy, that I find when I'm working from home, I may be to have 20, 30 legitimately good customer touches. Mm-hmm. And that's hard on the road, because you can still call a customer from your rental car, but let's face it, trying to take notes on a pad while you're pulling your suitcase through the airport and trying to not forget and go, crap, I forgot to order that sample for him because you got in the car and then the phone, it's just, you're not near as good or on your game, right, as you are if you're setting and doing it.
So that's right, JR. And that is so true. Amen to that. Because to get to that virtual, as I call it, interlude or point of engagement, it's got to start somehow. And usually it starts with a phone call. And then from there, I go to, would you like to see our presentation? And we can have a Teams or a Zoom call of your preference, go to meetings, and then we're off to the races. And here we go.
Yep.
And I know once we get to this point, it's easier, and I'm sure you're noticing, and even in your industry, that's my point, Randy. You have taken your craft, and when I say, I'm not going to say old world, but things that work for you, and now you're embellishing it, and you're becoming a very smart businessman, very intelligent, and saying, give me those tools now with what I know and watch what I can do and grow and develop. And that's what's taking place out there.
Well, that's what we're trying. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. And, you try to take, there's nothing, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah, I agree, Tom. He said windshield time. Hate it. I agree.
Exactly. You take the old theory, and that's the thing. You take the old theory of build value, and a lot of people that have got into this new deal here right now.
Liz wants a raise. She said virtual is becoming a new personal. Why not use it to your best advantage?
That's my girl, Liz, right there.
If he does not give you a raise, you call me or text me or message me. I want to know, Liz.
Oh boy, I'm in trouble now. But this theory that this newly discovered bring value. Let's reach out. Let's touch people. That's not new.
Exactly.
We've been doing that person to person. The only difference is if I can't go see her right now, you and I have become good friends, Mark, and we've never met.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I hope someday we do. But if we do, it's
not I'd welcome it, man. That's great.
But it's not going to be like it's somebody we didn't know, because it's going to I'll recognize you. We'll recognize each other across the parking lot, right? It'll be like Chariots of Fire as we're running in slow motion to give each other a bro hug, right?
Right.
I mean, but that's the beauty. That's the beauty that virtual brings you.
Right.
But if your idea, like you said, and it's going full circle, but I think it's important that you brought up, if your idea with virtual is I can hide and just throw a couple videos out and call it a day and not follow up and not do the things you need to do, put your interview away and just, drink coffee, I guess, because you're not going to win doing that. You need to do it, but you need to follow up. What's Zach got to say?
He says, if you don't get a raise, I know some Amish mafia. No raise. You'll get that raise one way or another. Oh, my goodness.
What Zach doesn't understand is
there is no Amish mafia. Now, where's this coming from?
Because there's an Amish mafia, and I've invested heavily in them, so don't
really. Okay. What do they come out with? Uzis on their horse and buggy, or
I can't tell because I'd have to kill you.
Oh my God. But I do want to go back to something else Zach said here. And he said, people keep saying trade shows are dead. Technology is great, but at the end of the day, people buy you and want face-to-face relationships. The key is how you use new tech to assist in making real, humane connections. And that is a very well stated, young man. Excellently put.
Well,
and I totally agree with what he said.
Exactly.
And that is so true.
Dead on. And the beauty of now with all this, is kind of piggybacking on what Zach says, is think about now. Let's go back to the old day. I'm in a trade show, and a guy is new in my business or new in my industry, potential customer. When we walk up, first thing we do is shake hands, and we just met each other, right? That's still pretty cold lead yet. Now, if he sees one of these things, he sees a walk and talk that I do, he sees whatever it is.
Right.
Then we start a communication. We hook up on LinkedIn and we have chats. All of a sudden you come into the show. Sure, I am. Meet me for a drink. Meet me for coffee. All of a sudden, the first time we meet, not only is it not a cold call, hell, I might have already quoted him. I mean, we might be ready to do a deal, right?
Right.
That's the fast forward that you can do if
Sure.
you use these tools to your advantage, right?
Or like me, if I reached out to you, I'll say, "Hey, man, you're that dude I see every now and then on Facebook doing those walk and
Yeah.
talk deals, or the drive by." Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right.
Hey, come here. They may see you on the trade show and say, "Hey, I know that dude. I've seen him
Right.
on Facebook."
Yep.
And that's
It
the
all
beauty of this tool,
it is. It is. So as long as we remember it's a tool, a very important tool, but still a tool, right?
Here, Tom says the key to master virtual is to learn how to stop acting and learn interacting skills. Thank you.
Tom, that is very good. I love that, Tom. And you're 100% right. Don't act, just be you,
Right,
because that goes along with what I think I talked about last time I was on with you, Mark, is then stop selling and start servicing,
right.
right?
Stop
Because
telling, stop selling,
just don't
just
sell anybody.
right.
I've said that before, and I know it comes across as weird to some people probably, but when I went from selling, and I've always been pretty good, but when I went from that to being better, I stopped selling people. I just help people buy. And I know that's a cliche. And I know a million guys have made a lot of money selling books talking about that, but it's
Mhm.
very true. Just quit selling people, because the
Right,
quote selling nobody wants, right?
right.
But people want to buy.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Since Jeffrey Gitomer always says, "Bring an idea to the table." I did this one time, and it blew him out of the park when I did it. You get these RFPs, and, it was one of these coat and tie, and there's like
Yep.
about 6 people up here, and they had some board over there, and, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Man, I'm not gonna play this game because I watched everybody, go in there and draw on the board." Well, so I went in there and, I had their proposals wrapped in brown paper. This is a true story. And they're like, "What are these?" I said, Those are the answers to your RFP." And they said, "Oh, okay." But what I had were graphic designs with me, next to me, that I could show. And I
Okay.
didn't even have one of those, I call it the carousel, with
Oh yeah, the
the
slides, the
yeah,
slide tray.
slideshow. I didn't even do all that because they were looking at me like I'm nuts. When they open it up, and this is what Jeffrey's talked about, I know the rest of us has heard this. They flipped at the end and look, what the hell? Where's the price? Where's the itemized? Oh, I said that's the best part, and that's why I'm here. And we're going to talk about that today. So as I
Perfect.
would talk about an entrance unit or a theme decoration, I'd pull up one or two designs, and let them see them. So when it was all over, they said, "Hey, can we have those designs?" And I said, "Well, that depends. What are you going to do with these designs? Because you already have somebody. You're going to give it to your current, vendor
Right.
and take our ideas?" And he kind of looked at me with a Cheshire cat smile. I said, "Well, why don't you initial this document here, and then you and I can talk about the numbers."
There you
And
go.
so that's how it started. And he
Yep.
said, "Okay, okay. Well, I want you to come back and let's go over this." I'm like, "Okay, I can do
Gotcha.
that."
Yep. Yep. Hey, got the commitment, man. I like it.
Right. But have you ever done that where you've given something to somebody and you don't have a number to it? I mean, I just think it's funny to watch their reaction. That's just
Well,
me. I'm sick that way, but
well,
I
no,
like
no,
to watch people's reactions
right.
sometimes.
Not in as bold a way that you just did, but I know I've had a couple times in my life where I've called on a customer, and first thing, I'm introducing this new product to them, right? Not new, but my product to them, I guess I should
Right.
say. And first thing, like a second and a half in, "Oh, what's your price?" I said, "What's it matter?" He goes, "Well, I need to know what your price is." I said, "Why do you need to know what the price is?" And he goes, "I'm just confused. I need to know the price to make a buying decision." I said, "No, you don't. Because you have no idea if it's going to be high or low, because you have no idea if I got the best product in the industry or the worst product in the industry, right? So if I have the worst product, it ought to be pretty darn low. But if I have the best, then it should be justified for the price I might want to ask for it." So I think you're ahead of yourself, right? You're just ahead of yourself. We got to
That's
talk
great.
about what I'm bringing to the table here first before we're just going to, because otherwise I'll just shoot you a number and leave. I mean, we can make this really fast. Too much. I didn't do that, but I wanted to do it. Too much, more than you're willing to pay, obviously, right? But because it was clearly it was a price guy only, right? But you know, at the end of the day, I sold him some product for a while until he bought from somebody cheaper. So, you know, moral of the story, right?
Mhm.
So,
There's always something cheaper, you know. I mean,
yeah.
that's it. And you know that, and that is a great point, Randy. I think everybody's going to try and, I shouldn't say everybody, some people are just going to try and see what they can, like if they're procurement or, you know, business agent, whatever their title they want to call themselves, accounting or,
Mhm.
you know, accounts receivable, payable, you know, the head guy, and you go in
Right.
there and, you know, it's no fun talking to them because they're just going to like look at the number and, you know, because
Yep.
that's their job, you know.
Oh, right.
They're not looking
Right.
at value. They're not looking at any of that. They're just looking at numbers.
Right. Well, and that's
You
why
know,
it's always good if you can, and you can't always, but if you can get the backing right of the salespeople with your
sure.
customer, because they're the ones that understand what this product that you may be bringing to the table will do for them in the field, right?
Right.
The buyer, like you said, it's to a large degree, there's no emotion. It's all logic. It's all number. And if you got this, I'm going to look at 12 bids and I'm going to take the cheapest. Where the sales guys may they're going to look at it and understand, well, I can take the advantages of this stuff Randy's bringing me,
Right.
and I can go make more money out in the field, right? And so sometimes if you can do it, it's very valuable to get those guys involved early on.
So, Randy, I'm curious, how do you engage with a customer and then the manufacturer? Because you're the rep. So that's like a fine line that you walk because you're repping, you know, the manufacturer's items, which they want you to. And then how do you get a chance to actually engage to the end user, or how does that work? And is there a fine line with that?
Well, yes and no. I sell seldom to an end user. I mean, really not at all.
Mhm.
Everything in mine is B2B, or as Brett Williams, I think, says, um, B to H, business to human, right? I mean,
Right.
you're still dealing with people, and I love
That's a
that
good
statement.
deal.
I love that statement. But so I know price structure. Some is relatively structured, but
Right.
usually I have some negotiating ability, right, based on the type of client they are, the type of volume there's involved. But so it's not like it's just free will, because I'm not buying and reselling the product, right?
Right.
I'm
No,
a
I
commission
understand.
guy. So,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, the only fine line or thing that I always try to remember is I'm this smack dab right in the middle here, where I need to work for my customer. I need to get them the right program, the right deal for them to help them make money. But I also need to protect my manufacturer, right? And make
Right.
sure they're making the margins they're supposed to make sure I'm not promising things we can't do. So fine line, I guess, but you know, I don't really see much of a fine line, because it's probably just because I've been doing it so long. But
Right.
yeah, you just the bottom line, it still comes back again to a cliche, and I'm not a cliche guy, but I guess I'm using one again. Um, it's all got to be wins, right? There's got to be two wins there, because if
Mhm.
it's not good for the customer, they're probably not going to stay with you. If it's not good for my manufacturer, we're probably not going to want to keep you. So at some
Right.
point, you might as well get that win to start with, right? And so that's the key. And sometimes you get a pushback on one side or the other, and sometimes you just got to negotiate those out. Negotiate with the customer, say, look, I'm bringing you a lot of stuff here, bringing you a lot of value. This is what I got to have. I'm worth it.
Mhm.
Sometimes you got to go back to the manufacturer and say, look, there's pretty big volume here, boys. I mean, we got to
Yeah.
be a little bit more in the game. Not
Mhm.
necessarily the cheapest by far. I don't sell anything as the cheapest. Everything I
Right.
sell, we never lead with price. You know, the triad, right? Price, quality, service. That's the way everybody
Mhm.
says it. I like to try to train myself to say is quality, service, price, because price, right, should always be the last.
Right.
In my opinion, still important.
Right. But
But
it's
if the
funny how
volume,
you flip it around with the quality, you know,
yeah,
you know.
The price doesn't matter. If the quality's not there and the service is not there, the price doesn't matter anyway. Right?
Exactly.
So,
And what I was going to ask you, because some of these companies, I call it, are manufacturers, Randy. Like you are very unique because they're always talking about distributors or their manufacturers reps because they have in-house people that get all this training. And so, what I do is, we offer sales training, but I ask, well, how do you train them how to sell your product? You give them all this product knowledge. Do you just like throw up on them and give them like a video or a YouTube, link and say, here it is, have at it, best of luck? Or how does that process work? Now, obviously, you study your craft, which makes you unique as a manufacturer's rep. But there are others out there that don't, and I'm sure the manufacturer's happy the lines that you rep. He's glad to have a person like you repping him.
well, I hope so. They still have me, so
Right.
So
No,
far.
I'm telling you they are, believe me, because I've heard some of the stories, as you talk to a vice president of sales, and it's interesting because he's like, yeah, I need to get buy-in from my distributors or my reps. And he's not talking about so much direct hires as opposed to they
Right.
have a distributor force or, a manufacturing rep force out there as well.
Yeah. Well, but to answer your question, different manufacturers are different. Some have quite a good onboarding program, and some don't.
Right.
But the thing, should they be good? Of course. But I've also taken the approach, or my mindset has always been, is I don't let people beat me either. And I think that's something that a young guy needs to learn. And what I mean by that is, okay, if I want to sell for you, or I want to work for you, and this job's right, and I say I'm a company guy, not a rep, right?
Right.
If you're not going to teach me everything I know, I got two choices: fail or win. And if I got to win on my own, I'll win on my own. But I'm not going to get beat. Does that make sense? So
yep.
you can, and in today's world with internet and with the websites,
right.
Not the same, but you can learn enough to go start making a difference. So
right.
you can't let that get in your way. But most manufacturers will do a pretty nice job because they recognize if you don't know the product and you don't know the system, you don't know how to maneuver through the company, right? Who do I go to for this? Who do I go to for that? When do I call engineering versus when do I call my sales manager? Those are things that probably get taught early on, but a lot of that's just learned because you call the wrong person and they say, hey, you dummy, don't call me for that. Call this guy. I guess I'll, 5 or 6 times later, I might remember that. Right.
Right.
And I've been doing this forever and I still do it on the wrong people sometimes.
Right.
Well, you know the answer, just give it to me. Right.
So when you get up in the morning, Randy, and you get ready to do your day, I mean, I know we all know what you do to prep yourself, but like, what's your strategy when you call on like accounts? Do you have it mapped out? Like, here are my potential A players, B players, C players, and I'll get to these at some point throughout the month. But this group right here, I really need to, within the next 2 weeks, delve into it and take care of business.
Well, I think I can answer that in 2 parts. It can vary some if I'm traveling versus more virtual now or of late. Virtual makes it a lot easier again,
right,
to get all of them. Right, you don't have to divide as much as I found. I can still find time, but with that said, yes, I will still have, as everybody in the sales world will understand, the ABCD accounts, and I classify those not always on volume either, because you might have a guy that's smaller, half the volume of what could be an A account, but the chances of you ever selling them are pretty slim for whatever reason. Are they really an A account?
Right.
The C account, though, is probably a pretty good chance I can sell them. So doesn't that make more sense at this point in time to work with the guy that the potential, the ROI is there, right?
Right.
So I put those into play, but with traveling, this is some tales from the road warrior thing now. When I travel, I map out, and I typically, and this is not always, but I typically have 2 solid anchor accounts or target accounts, like a mall, right?
Right.
2 big stores on the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
One in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. I've got it scheduled. We've got a plan. We're doing lunch. We're doing, that's my purpose for the trip into this area.
Gotcha.
Then I'll have the B's and C's that I'm probably going to see them in all likelihood, unless something changes, or, this customer wants to spend 3 extra hours and I can't, but I'll probably see them. But those are not a scheduled time if I can help it. Those are, if you're going to be around sometime in the forenoon, I think I'm going to be in the area, I'd like to stop by. Perfect.
Right.
That way I can get out of it if I have to. Right. And then the D accounts, again, would be, I might literally drive by them.
Right.
Right. Because let's face it, if we're being all honest here with each other. If I got an appointment with an A account and I've got an hour to get there, I'm not going to, I don't have time to stop to the D account regardless today. That doesn't mean they're not important. Right. It just means you gotta determine what you're doing with your time. But I never go into my territory without some appointments. But I don't fill my day because I said earlier that I like adapt in the first thing in the morning. So I remember.
Right.
You're going to kill yourself. My experience. If you go in and I've got an 8 o'clock and a 10:30 and it's an hour and a half here. So I got 11, I can guarantee you, we know what happened. Murphy Law. It'll all screw up on you. And it's a domino, right? Because the first one that screws up, it screws up the whole rest of the day.
Correct.
So I really am, but that's my typical, but like I said earlier, the beauty of virtual again.
Right.
I might have to move somebody later in the day or first thing in the morning, but I am going to be able to get them where if I'm 700 miles away in the middle of New York State, and if I missed them, I missed them. Right. Because I'm going to be in Southern Ohio in 2 days. Right.
Right.
It's just so that's, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's.
No, it does. And I
that.
think my next question is, because you brought up virtual and Hippo video. And so when you sent your first video, Hippo video email, what did a customer think when you sent that? Were they taken back like, man, what's up with Gary? I mean, Randy, or what's up with Joe, or what's up with Mary? You checking out what Randy's sending me here? Here, look at this.
It was surprisingly very good because I have one lucky thing in my world is it's still, this virtual thing is still pretty new and pretty undone yet in my world. So when I do stuff like this, it's pretty noticeable. But also, the response back was like, wow, you just sent me a video. And let's put it this way. I do a lot of video text too. And I send videos like, I remember one day a customer, I only met them a couple times and they're buying lots of stuff from me now. And I sent them a video. I'm on my way, in my car, my little phone number, right? Hey, right. You see them. Yep. I'm on my way. I'll be there in about an hour. Don't eat. We're going to lunch. And all of a sudden he's sending me back a video.
Really?
And all of a sudden he's sending me 2 or 3 and we're like doing videos that's back and forth the whole drive there. So they start to love it. Now you learn, like with everything, you're going to have a certain customer that don't like that. Then you just don't do it, right? I mean, you just don't do it. And I have a lot of customers that I don't do it with because as we talked, I have a lot of Amish Mennonite customers.
Right.
And I do with the folks that have cell phones. Most of the Mennonites will have cell phones, but a lot of my customers, they don't have cell phones.
Do the Amish have cell phones yet, or do some of them?
That's a secret because the mafia would be after me and you if I let that secret out.
Well, I can tell you, I'm putting you on the spot here that
some will, some don't.
Some have adapted to the 21st century.
They're trying as best they can. Yes. So, but no. So to answer your question, the response that I've got has been very good, and but it's the biggest thing I found, and somebody, I think it maybe was JR or somebody mentioned earlier, you just gotta be natural. You gotta be yourself though. Don't be, I'm gonna tell you, when we meet, you'll know it's me because this is me. I use my hands a lot and I say stupid stuff sometimes and I say what I think. And this is what you can't do, in my opinion, whether it's doing product video where it's a little more buttoned up and, or these kind of things, or sending a video to a customer.
Right.
It's got to be what they would see if you walk in the door. So if you walk in the door and would be, hello, my name is Rick, then do that. But if that's not you, don't do that. Right. That would be the biggest advice to anybody that doesn't do much of it yet.
Yes.
Just because
you got to develop your own style, your own kind of like what I call swag. Just be you.
And just be me. Because sooner or later you're going to like me or not. So you might as well get it out of the way now. Right. I mean, when I show up, you're going to like me or you're not going to like me.
So here's your cohort in crime, Liz. She says, being virtual now gives the opportunity to see customers even when you can't travel. Beautiful. Look at that.
The girl's getting it.
Yeah.
She's going to be my star.
Liz, I'm serious. If you want my number, it's 678-624-0895. That's my direct line here. You can call me during work hours and let me know. I mean, in 2 weeks, if you don't get some sort of little lift in your check.
Yeah. You know what we're going to be. She's going to have that, because I think I told you she's going to be doing a lot of big stuff for me in the Northeast from a customer sales basis. So
I don't want to get into age, but people say, well, this generation versus that generation. And to me, that's a bunch of baloney, because this just now proves it. Here's you, here's Liz, and look what you're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
So, whoever buys into that program is, out to lunch. And, only thing my son will tell me is, your generation still hasn't mastered virtual. And I said, sorry, he's like, there ought to be an age limit. I'm like, hey, man, come on.
Yeah,
people use it as a tool. At least we know what an iPhone is. It's meant to be a phone, too, not just a toy. Okay, just accept my friend request.
Here it goes.
Okay, I will. I will. Oh, there we go.
Mistake.
I will.
But no, so it's but yeah, I can't remember where we left off there, but it's
I was talking about the generational thing. Like you send out a hippo video, or you even do direct video, or you're using the tools. And I said, what was that like for your first customer? That when you do that, it's funny. Then they're like, man, I didn't know you did that. Or I'll share something real quick and I'll shut up. I had some people call our office about this, Mark's message. And I'm like, well, getting the word out about sales concepts, I guess, but I thought it was funny. They called and wanted to know, how do I get in touch with them? I started laughing.
Yeah. Oh, it is good. It's good stuff. And it builds more camaraderie. It builds more, I don't know, love and affection or whatever you want between each other. Right. It's and it's fun. It's just fun. It's just more fun. I've had more fun sending a video text than sitting here typing out a stupid text, because if I send a text, you don't know exactly. It's hard. Sometimes you don't know what I meant for sure. Did I mean it as real? Am I joking? Right? If I'm talking to you, right? What's Tom say?
He said 70 and doing it, just need a 15-year-old around to handle the tech stuff. Amen to that.
Tom, that's my biggest battle probably. And Liz, I drive her nuts. I'm so glad I have her, because.
But you know what? That's okay. That's why you have her. Exactly. Or there's so many other people that are willing to help. I mean, it's really cool, because when younger people see us, we shouldn't be doing this, or guys like Gittimer, or even Ken Walls, or not that they shouldn't be doing, but it's like, wow, they're like my dad's age, and man, he's got a platform and he's got people, or Grant Cardone's in his 60s and he shouldn't be doing it. Well, why not? And look what they're doing.
Well, exactly. And the thing is I'm just like what I did with bringing Liz on full time. And this was meant as a compliment to her. I can hire expertise. I can hire somebody to help me with this technical stuff that I'm not necessarily that good with. But you still have to bring the you factor, right? And that's what we do in sales, is the you factor, right?
Right.
So
But I just think it's really cool. And that's why I love talking to you, Ray. I learned so much. You remind me, God rest his soul, my brother-in-law, Vernon Meyer, who made a few pennies in his day. That's all I'm going to say. But he delved in steel buildings and all that. Very successful businessman. And I'll never forget when he had to have floor plans done. I never could figure out why his office was located here. Well, it was near the municipal building, and it was near this where he'd get approval for a building project, and it was
yeah.
near this. And then I'm like, you know what, Vernon, you ain't as dumb as you look, are you? But he did very well. And
Yep.
if he was alive today seeing this, I know what he'd say.
Yeah.
If he maybe he wouldn't do it, but he'd say, "Man, we're going to do this because
Yeah.
this is cutting edge stuff." And
Oh, it is. It is. Just keep learning, keep doing, keep experimenting, find out what works.
like you hop on there. I know I've been busy. I'm sorry, Jeffrey Gittimer, but yes, I have to sell. So I've been on the phone a lot here and getting some results, and doing these things. But he's always talked about, get out there and go for it and master this right here. Master the virtual, master the hippo video, make sure it's part of your arsenal.
Yep.
And if you do, you're going to beat your competition because they're not doing that.
Right on. Right on. Oh, I agree with that. I remember, I think I made a statement, probably a little bolder than I should have, but I made it. So I'll make it again because I've already made it. Right. I was with Tim and Eric the other day on their inaugural show of the penalty box. And I made a statement, and I'm pretty much positive, I think that this was Jeffrey's statement, something along this. But he says, yeah, social media and social selling is the way of the future. If you don't do it, I want to say he said this, and maybe this is my word, but a little harsh, but he said, you're an idiot, right? I mean, you just got to do it. You got to do it. If you're not comfortable going all in, I'm pretty well all in. I mean, I got plans that I drive Liz crazy. I sent her a text at 3:00 last night. So, I mean, I wake up and think of stuff, and I'm all in. So I'm probably slightly.
I love Liz already. Good point, boss man. With video, you don't assume voice inflection by just reading text. And there you go about the text messages.
Yep. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm thinking. You know what I'm feeling. You know that if like I got a good buddy of mine. And all the time he may or may not be watching. I haven't seen him pop up, but out in Montana, a good customer, but a good kid. That I say kid because I'm old, but sometimes I just get the urge to send him a text and say, dude, I appreciate you and I love you. Cheers. That's it.
Right.
But typing that's not the same, right? Not the same at all.
Right.
Because he knows when he sees me say that, he knows that I do appreciate him and I love him as a friend and a buddy. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think to me, that's the key to the whole thing. And so I'm going to keep doing it because I'm all in now, man.
Well, what's new now? You're getting ready to get into this show. What's new for you at Source One, Randy? I mean, I know we're all hoping to get out of this craziness of COVID, and we have an election coming up. And by the way, this isn't a political endorsement, but please vote, everybody. Please make sure you do vote, regardless of who you vote for. Do take advantage of that. And right now you can vote early, or even if you choose to mail it in, instead of waiting in those humongous lines.
Right. I'll tell you. And then I hate to say this, but I didn't plug my phone in. So I'm like probably about 4 minutes away from losing my signal.
You're right on point.
Right on schedule. Look at that. Do you see that? But anyway, what's new for me? Continuing to do what we do, working some new products, continuing to build the existing products. There's so much business out there to go get. And if you don't have it all, there's still business to go get. Right. And so I'll be traveling a little more in the next 3 weeks, not as much. Got a day trip or two next week. I'll be getting back to Florida I'm still in northern Michigan. I'll be getting back home a couple weeks. Get settled in, get back doing this. Hopefully we'll be hitting the road a little more, depending on whether, just depending on things, right? If
Right.
My goal is to, somebody asked me the other day, what's my goal as far as travel versus non? And, I have no idea. I have no idea what it is right now.
Oh my God! Look who hopped on here, the master.
Brother Christopher, how you doing, brother?
Two kick-ass dudes. We'll catch replay. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Christopher. Love to see you, buddy. Thank you, man.
Always good to have that guy hopping on.
Yeah.
There's Zach said, great show, guys. Got a jet as my phone is going to drop. Looking forward to tuning in again soon. Thank you, Zach, for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Zachary.
And Chris just got home. But I do want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. Thank you again. Yeah, well, I don't know about if we rock, but we're just trying to make a difference out here, Christopher, like you.
Chris was out with it. I saw a Facebook post today. He was out doing some stuff with your son today, buddy. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Love seeing that.
That's a beautiful thing.
That's good stuff, brother.
But Randy, I don't know what else to ask you because this is your second trip back here, but I will tell, GeForce Friday. Yep, I got you. Okay.
We'll be there, Tom.
and everybody's going crazy out here in the airways. They're just, thank you, JR.
Thanks, JR. Thanks for coming, man.
JR, I did not forget about you, and I would love to have you come on and talk about your skills with lighting and the appropriate way to live stream. And this guy is so handy about everything. He's another brainiac. He's undercover. We need to get him out here. But what I was going to say, though, is thank you for joining us again, Randy. And once again, you proved to me that you are the ultimate relationship builder, and you have the title of Ultimate Road Warrior because you have gone through some wars out there, so to speak, and you've seen the good, bad, and the ugly in the sales world. And now you're seeing something I'm sure that, a lot of people that have been in sales for years are like going, wow, this thing's really coming full cycle. Yep. And there's enough out there for everybody if you take advantage of it.
Exactly. Just go grab the opportunities that are there, man. Just, it's exciting. There's just so much we can do. So get up, get at it, man. That's all I say.
And with that, I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. Mark's message. Randy, don't go anywhere. I'm going to just, get on here. And with that, this is why I wanted to have Randy back. We had a few technical bugs, difficulties, little reverb the first go around, but he truly is a gentleman. I love the guy. He's a hardworking guy. He's very good at his industry, his craft. And if I was going to learn from somebody, that's a guy I'd want to learn from. If I was going to go in that industry, he's a prime time example. Any young person that wants to hook up with Randy Chafee, I would highly recommend you do so because he's going to take you on a journey. It won't be a destination, man. And what you're going to do is just make beautiful music together. I'm sorry, I'm getting the creative forces and sources are coming out of me. But with all that, I'm going to say, there he is, the man. Hello, Mr. Bam. We just missed Randy, but thank you for popping on here. As always in Mark's message, it's about being a leader. Hey, Lynn, being a friend and being of service. And remember, always, 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 you and I together, if we continue to keep swinging for those proverbial fences, hopefully the Braves are right now, tongue in cheek, we will knock it out of the park. Once again, Mark's message, Peachtree Corners, Georgia, a 5 peach rating here tonight with Randy Chafee, the ultimate relationship builder, road warrior. Have a very peaceful, successful Wednesday evening and propel that into your Thursday. Now, I agree with you, my man. I love peaches. I will see you tomorrow.